is up, everybody? It's your boy Deuces. I'm back. Thank you, guys. Have you ever wanted to be abducted by a UFO? Have you ever wanted to see a UFO? Have you ever actually just wanted to run from something? A UFO is actually what I'd actually run from, guys. And do we believe him or do we not believe him? It's kind of like Bigfoot, guys. You either believe in or you don't. There's no in-betweens on this. Well, I got a video for you guys. It's actually the Joe Rogan, Travis Walton tells his story of alien abduction. Guys, should you come forward whenever you have something, a story like this? Sure you should. Is people going to think you're crazy? Absolutely. They're going to think you're crazy, guys. But anyways, first and foremost, love yourself, like yourself, be anything but yourself. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's highly appreciated. Without further ado, guys, let's jump right to the video.
And one by one, the other guys in the crew started looking, but nobody said, "Oh my God, what's that?" or anything like that. It was just kind of an idle curiosity at first. But when we burst into the clearing where we could see the source of this glow, it was just, whoa, you know, I mean, it was just mind-blowing instantly.
He made it sound like he's like some kind of hovercraft. We just burst into the clearing, guys, and whoa, look at this. You know what I'm saying? That's actually what he made it sound like, guys. Let's get back to the video.
I inexplicably got out of the truck and ran toward this thing. I thought it was just going to take off, be gone in a flash. And
so when you say in the clearing, so are you driving on a dirt road?
Yeah, it's a dirt road. Trees are real thick. This was a part of the contract we hadn't cut in yet, so trees were a lot thicker there, except for this clearing. And we weren't the only ones that saw it. We found out later. Sheriff had on file people who were in the area that saw it. You know, hunters and fishermen over there at Black Canyon Lake. And the movement that they described was what the crew described when it left. And of course, I didn't see that. But
what did they describe?
They described this glow rising up and streaking off, I believe they said, toward the northeast. There were some people that probably don't want to be public about it, but there was one guy who was just deer hunting, and he worked in military intelligence, and he stuck by what he and his wife saw. They were both together. And another guy that was at Black Canyon Lake, I won't mention any of those guys' names unless they chose to, but...
You can tell this guy's really nervous about what he has to say, guys. You can tell he's very nervous, the way he's, you know, repeating himself, moving back and forth. His arms are jittery. You can tell he's really nervous. And you should probably be really nervous coming public with a story like this, guys. You probably should. You know, and a lot of people doesn't believe in this stuff, guys. Do I believe in UFOs? Absolutely, I do and do not. I guess. I'm on the fence, guys, with the UFOs. Do I believe in Bigfoot? Absolutely, I do and do not. I'm on the fence about that one, too. We're always an open mind around here, guys. But this guy right here, it sounds kind of, should we believe him or should we not believe him? I mean, anyways, let's go ahead and listen to more of his story.
Found out later that there was more official investigation that nobody talked about at the time. Immediately, though, this was all nonsense, and these guys murdered him, and even my oldest brother, he didn't believe me. He thought they had killed me. What we were doing with the brush that we cut was piling it up. There were piles that were in the clearing so that the Forest Service could burn these piles, you know, when the conditions were right, where it wouldn't spread, you know. Wet conditions otherwise, but burn up this excess material to reduce the fire danger in the woods. And my oldest brother was tearing those piles apart. He was certain that my body was under there. And there were some pretty testy confrontations between him and my brother. And
now, what did he say? Did he say he was for certain that his body was underneath there? Back on that.
Certain that my body was under there. And there were some pretty testy confrontations between.
Why would your body be underneath a brush pile? Back on that, guys.
Certain that my body was under there.
Let's go back a little bit.
And these guys murdered him, and even my oldest brother, he didn't believe me. He thought they had killed me. What we were doing with the brush that we cut was piling it up. There were piles that were in the clearing so that the Forest Service could burn these piles, you know, when the conditions were right, where it wouldn't spread, you know. Wet conditions otherwise, but burn up this excess material to reduce the fire danger in the woods. And my oldest brother was tearing those piles apart. He was certain that my body was under there. And there were some pretty testy confrontations between him and my brother. And I think even my other brother, Dwayne, he initially took that approach, but he quickly became sure that they were telling the truth.
Now, what do you remember when you were going through your mind and you're trying, I mean, this is a story you've told so many times. This is a story that's been turned into a film. which it's got to be very surreal. But when you look into your memories and you try to go back to that day,
well, I don't try. It's something I try to block out, but it's unforgettable. And there's
what do you remember seeing when you ran into the clearing?
well, the whole clearing was lit up with this weird glow. It's really hard to for any artist or movie to try to duplicate the strange glow there was there. Made everything look really, really pretty eerie, you know. And
Did it have color to it?
it was kind of a golden color, but with a kind of a softness to it that it wasn't like beams of light shooting out. It was just this haze of light.
And did it seem to come from a specific part of the craft, or
Most of the surface seemed to be glowing. There were darker areas that didn't give off light, but it was the parts that weren't glowing. It wasn't so hard bright that you couldn't look at it, but it had a metallic look to it.
So what did the craft itself look like?
It was a classic disc-shaped craft. The years later, there was a report. I can never remember names, but this guy was saying that he worked at Area 51. They had something in there. He worked with the Tester Model Corporation to create a model of what he was describing, and that's actually the closest of any of the other descriptions I've seen. But I don't think these things have just one type of craft. I think there's many, many different shapes.
What makes you think that?
Well, personal experience. I try not to emphasize these other incidents, but I've seen the glowing sphere. I've seen the giant black triangle. Other craft that were a ball of light that you couldn't penetrate the light with your eyes. But
No, this is after this experience.
I think the reason my brother Dwayne was persuaded more quickly than my brother Don was that he saw a craft in those woods. That's probably 10 miles from there. Well,
My question is this, guys. Do we have to be special to see these crafts? Because I've absolutely never seen one. I've seen something I couldn't explain over in Colorado, but I've never seen a UFO. And what do we got to do to be abducted? Like, seriously. And this is no joke, guys. This guy really says he's been abducted. He's really describing real things. I mean, he even goes on to describe at the end of this video what the aliens was actually, quote unquote, they think was after. Guys, I played a lot of video games and I've read a lot about UFOs, but I'm not quite sure whether you get abducted by UFOs or not. That's just my opinion, guys. But you may, and that's the reason why we absolutely have an open mind to all this stuff. You know, this kind of stuff you actually approach with an open mind. If you don't, then you don't believe 100% in what you're actually watching in somebody's story, guys. But you can actually tell this guy is 100% nervous, the way he's acting, the way he's talking, the way he's holding his mouth, the way he's shrugging his shoulders, moving, and yada, on and on and on, yada, 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 if you know what I mean. So anyways, guys, let's see what this guy has to say.
Well, deer hunting. And it was kind of tic-tac shaped, and that's something that's been observed by, in military reports recently.
Yeah. So you see this thing, this disc-shaped craft, and then what happens?
It started to move and started to get louder.
Louder.
Yeah. It was the guys in the truck heard it too. It was a low, thunderous kind of a rumble that you actually sort of felt more than heard. And then there were other high-pitched frequencies. I was talking to a group of students from a technical college, and they were really interested in what the sound was like to try to, compare that with theories that they had concerning what might be their propulsion. But the increase in volume, it suddenly got louder as it started to move. And, at the same time, the guys in the truck were screaming, "Get away from there, let's go, get back in the truck, let's go." And which would have been the smart thing to do. But as soon as it moved, it startled me. I just ducked for cover. There was a log there. I got down behind this log, and they were screaming, let's go. And yeah, didn't need to be told. I was just going to, stand up and run away. But see, when I jumped for cover, I went down and forward to reach where the log would hide me. And that brought me closer to it. So when I stood up, at that point, that was the closest I was to the object.
How close?
It was still like 8 or 10 feet away, from the surface of it. But that was when the energy discharge happened. I've worked on a number of theories about what might have happened. At the time, some of the other guys on the truck were thinking I mean, immediately Steve said, it got him. Like, if you shot a deer, you got it,
Right.
And so it might not have been.
Oh, so not only him, he's not the, so everybody else seen him too do this. Seen this UFO, seen the discharge coming out, which is probably static electricity. He'll go on to actually talk about in this video. So can you imagine just all of a sudden UFO, you're 10 feet from it, and you're just, about that time, guys, don't you think you would just pause in awe and you're afraid? So you're pausing. You don't know what you've seen. Basically, your mind's telling you some object is in front of you. What is it going to do? Should I stand here or should I run? So you're froze at that point, guys. But this guy is not the only one that's seen this. His friend's seen it too. Absolutely mind-blowing, guys. Anyways, let's get back to the video.
Been, as we assumed at first, that it was some kind of stun gun or something, but maybe just closing that gap allowed this energy to leak to ground through me. And
Like static electricity or something.
yeah, one thing that really weighs heavy in that direction is that when I found years later that they have satellites or something that record the number of lightning strikes, and that area has the highest frequency of lightning strikes of any place in the continental United States, except for the Everglades. The Everglades has a bit more, but that's over water. So that adds to another theory. What were they doing there?
So that area that has a high level of lightning strikes, do you think it makes sense that they're observing that, or is that why they were there? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, up until a few years ago, you walk down the rim road, and if you see a tree that's been hit by lightning, you can always see it. It's a strip of bark that's just blasted out of there, and it's all bare, and it can actually still survive the lightning strike. But it turns the sap to steam instantly, and it just explodes out the side of the tree, blows the bark off. But I was at a conference where this lady was. I said, "What's this?" And she says, "That's fulgurite." I said, "What's that?" And she says, "That's when lightning strikes the earth. You've got millions of volts, millions of degrees that form these crystals that aren't formed geologically." So I kind of leaned towards this theory that perhaps they were looking for fulgurite, for a very unique kind of crystal that would be formed by that kind of blast of energy. I'd never heard of fulgurite before.
Can you pull up an image of that, Jamie? I'd like to see what that looks like. I know tritonite is something that happens when they call it nuclear glass. It happens when there is either a nuclear explosion or when asteroid impacts hit the Earth. That's it right there.
Well, these crystals are supposed to have very special properties for people who are into crystal stuff, but
what does that say there, Jamie? This is what happens. That's what. Wow, that's wild.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
So that's what they're talking about, is like the blast of the energy. Maybe it's like a sonar type to the aliens that they actually use, where it goes through them and it kind of, sonar, it shows them where they're at, bounces off. Or maybe even like a sonar underwater, like a fish finder, something like that. It actually shows everything it's actually supposed to be. Maybe that's what the blast energy is from. But that's what he's actually saying, is this is what they was actually, quote unquote, maybe after, was this stuff right here. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
That's pretty wild. So it might be that they were looking for that. Well, who knows? Maybe it's something that they use for energy. What is that? That's really when lightning struck Santa created that thing? That's wild. That is wild. Look at that. It looks like a tree coming out of the sand.
That's nuts. That was wet sand.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, well, it's right next to the beach. It must be wet. That is crazy. That's really wild, man. Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience.
Anyways, guys, there you guys go. Travis Walton tells his story of alien abduction. Guys, I hope you guys liked that. I actually enjoyed it. I had to share it with you guys. Guys, I come with some wild things. I know I do. But hey, guys, I love this stuff. Anyways, is aliens real? Is aliens not real? Let me know in the comments whether you guys think the aliens are real or not real. Is there a true thing about abductions? Can we actually get abducted by aliens? I want to know how, guys. Anyways, but first, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like, subscribe, channel, it's highly appreciated. Without further ado, guys, your boy Deuces. I'm out. Have a good one.